Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for my first podcast. I am so excited for so many reasons, but most importantly, to talk about such an important topic. College is not for everyone. And for my first podcast, what an exciting opportunity to have with me part of the most exciting school in the country, a school that is near and dear to my heart for many reasons, Father Judge High School in Northeast Philadelphia. Full disclaimer, my father is one of the proudest alum. You'll never find a more proud alum than Ellen Kolodziej. And my brother has such a connection. He is an oblate of St. Francis de Sales. They are so connected to this school. He is the best. I have to give Father Jack a shout out, right? And joining me now is Brian Patrick King. He is the president of this illustrious school. Father Judge has been around for many, many years. So Brian, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
No, Ellen, thanks so much for having us. It's exciting. Glad to tell our story.
Well, it is a story to tell. I want to start with, obviously, my mother used to say, college is not for everyone. And you guys are living that. You have been getting national attention for a Pathways program. And I want to make sure I get it right. It stands for, well, CTE, right? The Career and Technical Education Program, Pathways. And we're talking about kids, this blew my mind, kids who are getting out of school, not just getting out of school, right? Juniors in high school getting offered jobs at $70,000. I'd like that job, right? I mean, a lot of us don't make that kind of money.
Yeah.
We're talking welders, steam fitters, iron workers. Give us a little background about what this program is all about, Brian.
Yeah, at its genesis, 8 years ago, I took over for Father Campolone as the president of Father Judge, and we had a SWOT analysis and a strategic plan created, and we started to look at the needs of our students, right, in the community we serve. And one of the pieces was, the top tier students we have Ivy League graduates and military academy graduates, and that was great. And we have a lower performing subset that we serve really well in our Father Brisson Center for Academic Excellence to drive their math and reading enrichment up. But there was a middle core group that we saw that we really needed to provide more life experiences to. One of our board members, Joe Ashdale, always jokes, some of the furthest our kids have ever been is to Jersey Shore. And so the idea of life experiences, and if you ask a kid, hey, what's a longshoreman? What's a steam fitter? They wouldn't know that stuff, right? They just have not had that level of exposure. And so one of the pieces our board and I had done was we had a study conducted about the trades, right? Career and technical education and opportunities. And we took a deep dive to see what are the high priority occupations in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania where, as baby boomers retired, there was going to be huge gaps to be filled. But not only gaps to be filled in high-paying jobs that if students wanted to continue to get after it and hone their craft, the sky was the limit, right, from an income standpoint. And so we really took that deep dive, and over time, we settled on the fact that a big need that would go across multiple sectors in industry and manufacturing was welding. And so we started a welding program inside the school in an annex beside the gym. And that was seeded by the Connolly Foundation and the Ambassadors Fund for Catholic Education. And the Friends of Father Judge backed the remainder of that. And that was about $1 million investment.
I was going to say, I know that was a big investment, and you have some great donors at Father Judge, and that's a beautiful facility, and it's a $1 million, right?
So $1 million to start the welding program, and we hired a very dynamic instructor, Mr. Joe Williams, Joe was in the private sector, and then Joe had gone at Randolph for the school district of Philadelphia, and he had led a welding program there. And we brought Joe in here. And for the first 3 years, the program was facilitated in the school. And we started our graduating cohorts. The students complete 1,080 hours of lab time over their sophomore, junior, and senior years. It's a very competitive process to get into the program. You have to basically take your freshman year to show discipline, attendance, academic rigor, desire to be there and be a part of the program. There's an interview process. 24 students are picked, and they go through those 3 years. And ultimately, the first cohort had a complete success rate. Everybody was certified. Everybody had job placement. Some students had multiple job offers. And if anything, The one failure of the program, which is really a blessing, but what we didn't anticipate was the wages, right? The income earned by the students had exceeded that which we had originally anticipated where we thought they would land. And when you start talking about students making $68,000, $70,000, $74,000 a year coming out, the nervousness then becomes, what would 18-year-old Brian King graduating Father Judge look like with that kind of money? And so we have to address that through financial literacy, right? So those are the learning curves that we have achieved and overcome over time there with the program. And now we've graduated 3 cohorts. We've continued on that 100% certification, 100% job placement rate. And the students have done tremendous. We have double-digit partner employees. We are the Navy Yard's #1 talent pipeline from a programmatic standpoint of teaching. And just last week, I was told that the New York shipyard reached out and now has an interest in potentially partnering and hiring our students. They're in that level of demand coming out of the welding program.
Well, you just touched on it. I mean, the demand, not only, I have some statistics here. This blew my mind. I mean, the National Association of Manufacturers, right? They say there are so many job openings, 400,000 job openings in the U.S. for these high-paying manufacturing jobs that you're talking about, right? The welders, the steam fitters, the iron workers. And with the graying of America, those jobs are only going to grow.
Yes.
So when you're saying you have 24 kids, you can't keep up with demand. And we're talking about high paying jobs, Brian, right? We're talking about, again, the National Association of Manufacturers are saying average pay for these jobs, $100,000. So great pay, great benefits. Again, college isn't for everyone because a lot of these kids, my son just graduated from Penn State. Thank God he doesn't have a lot of loans, but kids are getting out of college with loans. And, my daughter started at $45,000, which is good money, but it's not 75,000 or 70 grand. We're talking some of your juniors are getting these job offers. So I'm throwing a lot of numbers out at people, but it's mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, I think the intriguing piece is that there's so many across the subset. I mean, behind you, you can see the shop floor of the new building we just built, right? So as we moved about here, so you can see there's 3 bays here and one's still under construction here. But this is a 20,000 square foot, $11.5 million investment, the Career Pathways Academy building. So while we were launching welding, the bigger conversation was about partnerships in a greater sense in these high priority occupations. So in the back, we have the Faulkner Automotive Institute in a partnership with the Faulkner Automotive Group and Faulkner family. And they have 31 dealerships in the state of Pennsylvania. Next to that is the welding lab. And then next to that will launch this year is the Elliott Lewis Mechanical Services program.
20,000 square feet? Is that
20,000 square feet, $11.5 million. Yeah. So, I mean, it's an exciting program. It's a big investment. But, when you talk to people, the intriguing piece about a lot of the manufacturing is there's a tech component to it, right? So, our students in automotive, they're going to learn EV and combustion engine, right? And these guys that are in the welding, our guys are learning blueprint reading and how to operate robotic plasma cutters, right? Where they're doing the AutoCAD design work themselves. We are trying to develop a very valuable commodity here at Father Judge. And I think the one piece that we can do that a lot of people can is, our guys come out with a moral compass, right? Our guys are coming out with, I need to be on work on time. I need to be at work and I need to be respectful. And I'm there every day to work hard and I aspire for more. And I think when we meet with partner employers and manufacturing, I think they see the value in that. They've seen the value in the proven piece, right? There's proof of concept in the welders. We have 2 years left to graduate our first cohort out of the Faulkner group. And this year we'll open up with Elliott Lewis with HVAC, another huge in-demand piece in the region, right? So we'll continue to grow these programs, but I feel like we really have landed a niche here, and it's something that the economy in Philadelphia and to be honest with you, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania needs right now.
And again, I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'm assuming people know about Father Judge because, again, it's so close to my heart. But people out in Western Pennsylvania or the middle of Pennsylvania don't know. Father Judge is an all boys Catholic school, and you have the Salesian message, right? This is what you touched on, St. Francis de Sales: be who you are and be that well. And you are the living embodiment of that with the young men that graduate from Father Judge. Again, I'm biased, but that you touched the nerve. So many employers today are finding that men and women across the board, not just the young people, but don't want to work or, show up late or don't have the best work ethic. But that's something that you are also instilling at Father Judge, right? You still have, I don't know, the merit system that I had at my Hallahan, the all girls Catholic high school, but you guys instill that at Judge. And so,
and I think it's unique. Yeah, I think it's unique for us here because when somebody says, why is Judge so successful? We have 70 years, 28,000 alum. Mm-hmm. I think oftentimes kids go through schooling and you're always pointed to the top student, be like this one, be like that top athlete, be like so-and-so. The concept here, to the point that you made about be who you are and be that well, when you tell a kid, I'm not looking for you to be Billy and Billy to be Johnny. I need you to be the best version of yourself today.
Right.
And if you're not, tomorrow we'll get back at it again and we'll try a little bit harder, right? The idea of the individuality and using your God-given talents and skill sets, to that point, my graduating class, Harvard, Penn, West Point, 13 going into the military, Amazing. 25, 35, kids going into the trades, going into welding, kids going into college. We are very blessed here with a diverse subset of students. We drove from 58 zip codes, 4 counties, 2 states here at Judge, right? It's much different than the Father Judge that I graduated from in 1997. But at its core, I think our mission and the way that we lead and educate and cultivate, these young men, I think at the end of the day, allows them to be successful in life because we're allowing them to find their own pathways, right, with their talents.
And again, it doesn't have to be a Catholic high school. I'm just saying that what you teach and you walk the walk at Father Judge. And that's why this program, again, I'll reiterate, is getting national attention. Fox Business, Wall Street Journal, other national publications. Have other schools around Pennsylvania and around the country contacted you, Brian, about what you're doing at Judge?
We've had outreach from some of the dioceses around the country and some of the schools in some of the suburban areas that are contemplating making this investment. Mm-hmm. I think for us, we went about it the right way, right? There was a study, there was a gap, we identified it, and then I think we kind of beta tested it, right? I think sometimes people rush into the $11.5 million subset without having really thought it through. And we had some trials and tribulations along the way. And I think what Joe Williams as the instructor, his experience, and what our very generous alumni and the contributions of the Connolly Foundation Ambassadors Fund, I think we went about it the right way to kind of lean in and start with one. And I always talk about being optimal, right? I think the program is running optimal, and then you go and expand to the next one. I think sometimes some of the schools want to be all things to all people, and it gets too big too fast, and then it loses its efficiency. I think we've gone about the slow play. The slow play has really turned out to be the right way to go about implementation of these kind of programs.
And again, so many young men and women just aren't, I think people are, though, really thinking about the trades now. I know that I don't ask kids the question anymore when they graduate. I just went to my niece's high school graduation party the other night, and I try not to ask anymore, where are you going to college? I now ask the question, what are you doing after high school?
Yeah.
Because so many people are thinking differently now. Again, college is not for everyone. So I love what you're doing at Father Judge. Anything else, Brian, you'd like to share about the program? I don't always ask the right question. But
I think the unique piece for us with the programs is I really do. I spoke with people from the school district and what have we modeled it after? I think the discipline is the key piece. I think sometimes when you say to a kid, there's no JV torch, right? You don't put a JV 800-degree torch in a kid's hand. And there's no JV car lift. And there's no, this is real world, and it requires a level of balance and dedication and discipline. And our instructors bring that in there. And I think the result is the success that these students have and the jobs they're landing. You're 18 years old walking to a job site with guys that are in their 30s and 40s, and you're a proficient welder. That's not Brian King doing that. That's the instructors, right? That's the rigor. That's the program that the principal and the academic dean put together, and this partnership with industry. And so I joked with people, this is not a Father Judge piece. It's at Father Judge, but this is really a coalition of the willing. When you look at Elliot Lewis and Bill Salter, who's a judge grad, and Harry Faulkner and the Faulkner Organization, and the Connolly Foundation, who's been supporting Catholic education, and really, John Connolly and the Connolly Foundation came out of Crown Cork and Seal and out of manufacturing and get it back to its roots. So there's a real coalition of the willing that has been supporting this, and we're forever grateful to all those people for doing what they did to give our students new opportunities.
Well, I'll say it again. My father is a 1960 grad, and he always says this little claim to fame. He's not the first graduating class, Brian, of Father Judge, but the first full 4-year graduating class, the first class to go 4 years. So why do you think I picked this story to be my inaugural podcast?
Yep. Good way to be dad's favorite,
Well, please. My brother may be a priest, but, I'm the reporter. So
that's it.
My brother is and always will be my mother's favorite. So, we lost her 17 years ago, but she used to introduce him as, I have 4 children, my son, the priest, and then Ellen, and then Donna, and then Maureen. I'm like, I'm the oldest. Oh no, my son is the priest.
That happens,
But Brian, where can we find, Father information about Father Judge?
Yeah, www.fatherjudge.com, and it's on there, the programs, the opportunities, and feel free. We're always open if anybody is interested, wants to reach out for a visit and see what we're doing here. Summer's a great time to stop by Father Judge.
Absolutely. And you have some of the great oblates of St. Francis de Sales. Those men are just the best. Again, I'm showing my bias, I know, but you guys do wonderful work, and what an amazing program that, again, is getting national attention. So I can't thank you enough, and I can't wait to see what more happens with this program and how big it becomes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do. And in the immortal words of St. Francis de Sales, be who you are and be that well. So thank you, Brian Patrick King, for being here. And thank all of you for joining me. And please check out my website. It's ECKOCom.com, ECKO Communications. I'm Ellen Kolodziej. Make it a great day.